What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about reamping. We're going to talk about what reamping is. We're going to talk about what you need to do reamps. Reamping is when you take a dry guitar track, record it in with no amps, no effects, no nothing, just guitar, going into a converter. So it's just the pure sound of the instrument. It'll sound like this. You take that dry recorded guitar signal and you pass that out of the computer through a guitar rig, and then you record the signal amped onto a new track. So hence reamping, right? There are a million different reasons why you would reamp, but here in a second, we're going to talk about what you need to actually accomplish this. For starters, the very first thing you need is to get a good DI recording of your guitars and or bass. I prefer to use a DI box into a mic preamp. I run a Countryman Type 85 into the preamp on an RME Fireface UCX2. Really, really good, clean, solid signal chain. If you're not using like a really good interface, you should definitely have a DI box. Stuff like the RME, it has really good DIs. The Apollos have really good DIs. But if you're using like the Focusrite Scarletts, the Behringer interfaces, the Volts, you know what I mean, the sub 1K interfaces, you should probably be using a DI box in front of your mic pre, just because those preamps are not designed to be DIs, right? So if you get a dedicated DI box, the signal that's going in is much better. The reason that is so is because these preamps are designed to take a balanced mic level signal, and the electrical properties of an instrument signal are way different than the electrical properties of a mic signal or a line level signal. So that DI box gets that to mic level, so the preamp has a better time digesting that, and it gets to the converters in better shape, and it just sounds better, right? Just try it. Your amp sims will sound better. Reamps will sound way better. And then aside from a DI box, you need an interface with enough line outputs to send to a reamp box, which a reamp box does the exact opposite of a DI box. It takes a balanced line level signal, converts that to an unbalanced instrument level signal. Again, way different electrical properties. So it hits a transformer in the reamp box to get that to a type of signal that pedals and amps will play really well with, right? So then you go out to a rig, then you capture that rig back into a microphone preamp, and then back into your converter and into your DAW. That is reamping. I'm going to show you my signal chain right here. My reamping signal chain. So this is the front of my interface. This is the back of my interface. We're going to start back here because the signal comes out of output 3. This is the back side of the RMP, the Radial Pro RMP, which is the reamper that I use. Signal goes out of output 3 into the input on the reamp. Then here's the front side of the reamper, goes out to a pedal. I'm using a JHS Bonsai because it rules. Then I'm going out of the pedal into the front of the amp, PV6505, out of the 6505 into the input on a Torpedo Captor 8 from 2 notes. And then I go out of the output on the 2 notes into a mic preamp on the RME. And then I've got a cab plugin loaded in, Fractal Audio Cab Lab 3, because I really like the Fractal Audio Cab IRs. This is the only way you can use their format in a DAW. So here's our little track we've got. This is just with amp sims, but I'm going to actually send this out through some hardware, and we're going to reamp it. Archetype Gojira from Neural DSP. Absolutely phenomenal amp sim. I love this plugin. It's just, with this being like a 2000 style mellow death song, it would almost be criminal to not reamp this through a 6505 because, a Tube Screamer 6505, I'm using impulse responses of a Mesa Recto cab. That is, that era of metal, the guitar tone in a nutshell. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bypass my amp sim here. And I'm going to let you hear just these raw guitar DIs. This is an Ibanez RG550 into a Countryman Type 85 DI box into the mic pre on the RME. So what we're going to do, I'm going to just mute this right guitar track. I'm going to start with the left. I'm going to arm this track for recording. You can hear that's the noise floor. That's the hiss coming off the amp. Amps are noisy. You're going to have hiss. I do not use noise gates when I reamp guitars. I will cut that shit out my hand. I want the purest possible signal, and I don't want a gate cutting stuff out anywhere in a reamp. So I need to select the output on my channel to be the RMP. And then if I just solo these two tracks and I play this, you should hear guitar tone. I've already dialed the tones in because this video is more about the process of reamping and like the necessary equipment, and less about like actually dialing in a guitar tone. So I've already done that. So I'm going to pan this over here. That way this will be my left guitar. Then I'll do the right guitar. I'm just going to run the track. I am reamping in Studio One. I'm mixed in Cubase now, but I still do a lot of production work in Studio One. I can squeeze a little bit lower round trip latency out of Studio One because I can get away with a little lower buffer settings than I can in Cubase. So that's why I'm reamping in Studio One. The lower round trip latency means less likelihood that I'm going to have to nudge stuff after the fact. So I'm going to unsolo this and I'll run this. And while that's going, again, here's our signal chain. Outs to ends. You can see here, like I've got my output visible here. In Studio One, you can make your outputs visible and you can see all the outputs on your interface. But I will drag it just so I can see whatever output I'm using. You know, sometimes it's usually just one for the RMP or maybe like a stereo send for the bus comp. And then over here, you can see all your inputs from your interface, which, yeah, you can see that's my voiceover mic here, SM7B on analog 1, and analog 2 is where the torpedo is going in. And we're going to knock out the other side of the guitars. So we got some big, wide stereo guitars. Ah, that analog goodness. All right, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll dial in a quick tone and reamp these leads here as well. So for leads with the 6505, I actually really like to use the green channel, which that may sound kind of insane to some people. But yeah, I really like the green channel for leads. It's a little more loosey goosey sounding. And you can get some really cool, fat lead tones, which I think I would probably benefit this pretty well. So I'm just going to solo this lead track here, record arm this. Let me hop over to the green channel. Probably bump that gain up a touch. Probably record that. That's pretty good. Now I'll just grab that second little lead line here. There we have it. Now we got our reamps. So yeah, that's kind of the process of reamping, what gear is necessary. Also, for what it's worth, if you're looking for somebody to help you make your next song or batch of songs sound their best, hit me up. I am a mixing engineer. Find me at jasonbakermixing.com. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, reamping is fun and cool, you know, because it just sounds different when you send actual electrons through transistors and transformers and tubes. You know, it's a different vibe than using plugins. I love plugins, don't get me wrong. Like 9 times out of 10, if I'm just riffing or tracking stuff, like I'm using a plugin, occasionally I will, you know, reamp it through hardware like a tube amp, or a lot of times I'll reamp through my Axe effects. I like that a lot as well. You know, it's cool to just use something outside of a plugin, you know, get some electrons moving through some stuff, you know. So yeah, thanks. Take care.